Hello everybody, I'm Rowan6 with Rowan6 Entertainment, and welcome to a new series, a audiobook series of my fanfiction, Transformers, Heroes in Disguise. The background art for this fanfiction is created by me. If you're interested in me doing art commissions for you, the link to my business Discord is down below. There's also a link to my community Discord, as well as the fanfiction link. There is also a link to my DeviantArt account. Thank you, and enjoy the video.
Chapter 4. It was oddly comforting to know that Arachnid was taking painting him so seriously. She made sure to take his input into account. She was meticulous in the preparations, all the way down to the smallest detail. When she started the process, the first layer of paint felt oddly comforting as it coated his metallic shell. His memory flashed to a time before his quirkless diagnosis, to the times when his mother would help dress him and get him ready for the day. The feelings that he was getting from this were oddly similar, and in a way, he guessed they were. It's only been 2 days. Yet this woman had shown more kindness and affection than his mother had in a decade. It took him being turned into an alien to be accepted, and yet why does it feel like they would have accepted him nonetheless if he wasn't turned into the same species as them? Izuku was so lost in thought that he did not notice that Arachnid had finished painting him. It was only when she pulled him over to a large reflective surface that he noticed that she was finished. Izuku stared at his reflection and took in the sight that was his appearance. Izuku's primary color was a dark forest green, which covered the majority of his armor plating. There was also a lighter green that covered the most flexible parts of his metallic plating, and some were used for detail work. A nice dark silver color highlighted his smaller armor platings, and gold highlighted the edges of some of his larger ones. It was during this time that he got a good look at his eyes, which glowed with a teal color. It reminded him of his emerald eyes when he was human. At least some things don't change. He was then knocked out of his musings by Arachnid's voice. So what do you think, kid? Do you like it? Arachnid asked with hesitancy in her voice. I love it, thank you. Izuku said as he gave her a bright smile, which she was quick to return. Good, I'll get the biocoder so when you transform, you don't chip or damage any of your paint. Arachnid said, as she grabbed said device with a bit of giddiness. In the short time that she knew Izuku, the two had bonded pretty quickly, so she was really glad that Izuku liked it. She wonders if Arky would like how he looks. Perhaps she could get B's help or Bulkheads to arrange some opportunities for the two to get to know one another better. But she was cut off from her machinations by Izuku asking her a question. Wait, what do you mean by transform? Izuku asked, confused. Arachnid froze at the question. Right, he wouldn't know about that, but how would she explain that to him? It was then that an idea came to her mind. Why don't I show you? Arachnid said with a smile. Ark's cargo hold. Izuku trailed behind Arachnid as they entered the cargo hold. When they did, Izuku saw Bulkhead, Bumblebee, and Optimus pulling in a semi-truck with a large trailer behind it into the cargo bay. The truck was a 1987 Freightliner FLA semi-truck with blue and red flame designs. The front was slightly damaged, and the back tire was missing, but the vehicle was relatively intact. As they finished pulling in the trailer, Izuku could make out what it said on the side. Displayed in the same colors as the truck were the words American Cars and Auto Parts. Izuku was confused. Why would they need cars and car parts? Izuku knew that they did not eat metal. and instead, they consumed their native fuel source, which was energon. As he thought about the substance, memories of the blue liquid ran through his mind. Drinking the blue liquid was an experience for Izuku. It had a metallic, tangy taste, and then he brought up why it tasted like that. Everybody was shocked, but what was more shocking was the fact that Archie could taste too. When Ratchet found out, they rushed both of them to the med bay for testing. Apparently, one of the devices that Ratchet could not identify at first was some type of sensory system that allowed them to taste. After that, Izuku had a theory, so he asked Ratchet if he could bring up a diagram of the components with their physical location in their bodies. Ratchet, wondering where this was going, did as he asked. It was as Izuku thought. One of the unknown devices was placed right where the stomach would be. It was located right next to the fuel storage unit. Izuku told Ratchet this, which allowed him to figure out what the purpose of the device was. Apparently, it was a bioconverter. The bioconverter was designed to process biological material into energon. Although the efficiency is a quarter more than just drinking pure energon. Ratchet started working on a prototype version of the bioconverter, just in case they could not find any energon deposits. Izuku was quite happy about this since this meant that he did not have to give up eating normal food. Even though he's probably not going to be able to get it anytime soon, due to him being a giant robot at the moment. He could probably pass it off as a mutation, but that's only going to get him so far without proper documentation. Izuku's mind was brought back to the present when the three members of Team Prime approached him. "Looky here, finally somebody who understands the superior color of green," Bulkhead said as he slapped Izuku's back. "Yeah, it really suits you, Green Bean," Bumblebee said as he patted Izuku's shoulder. Izuku was still fascinated by the fact that he could understand other languages as if they were as natural as breathing. Apparently, all Cybertronians were born with a translator. It was why he was able to understand Bumblebee so easily. Although he still hadn't asked how Bumblebee lost his voice in the first place. But he could tell that it was quite a traumatic event for him. "Looking good, Green Bean," Archie said as she gave him a wink. This had the added effect of causing Izuku to blush. Which Arachnid only seemed to pick up, but seeing it, Arachnid's smile only grows. "Yes, you are looking quite good, young Izuku, you wear your colors well," Optimus said with a smile. After Izuku returned his smile, Optimus's attention turned to Arachnid as he spoke up. "Arachnid, did you bring him all the way here to show us his paint, or did you come here for a different reason?" Optimus asked, knowing quite well that she came here for a secondary reason. "Am I really that predictable?" Arachnid said with a cheeky grin before continuing. "Yeah, when I was going to apply the biocoder, I mentioned our capability of transforming, and since you guys were going to pick out your vehicle mode today, I thought a demonstration would be better than me explaining it," Arachnid said, to which Optimus gave a nod. He could see her logic. It would be easier to show than explain. But before Optimus could say a word, the voice of Ratchet interrupted. "And I hope you are in your right mind to not allow him or Archie to attempt any full-body transformations yet," Ratchet said, grumbling as he walked into the cargo bay, pulling what appeared to be an ambulance behind him. What, he was a medic, it only made sense that he would use a medical vehicle as his vehicle mode. "Wait, I can understand me, but why not Archie?" Izuku asked curiously. Was it an age thing? According to what Ratchet told him, Arky was the same age as him. So it was possible that she still needed to mature a lot more before she would be able to do any transformations. But after everybody gave some form of uncomfortable look towards Arky, Izuku knew something was up. Sai, you might as well tell him, it's not his fault for not knowing. I'm just going to go and fill up on some energon. Arky said before leaving. Izuku, seeing her leave, got worried. Did I say something wrong? Izuku asked, worried that he brought up some type of taboo subject. He did not mean to hurt his new friend. No, kid, you did nothing wrong. You see, Arky was the last child born on Cybertron. On the day of her birth, both of her parents died when the nursery was attacked. You see, Cybertronian protoforms, especially right after they are born, are very vulnerable. Cybertron was dying, and the Autobots had only one habitable area left, which was only being held together thanks to the Allspark. During the attack, the Allspark was moved from its position and turned off for a brief time. That small, brief time was enough to destabilize the habitable zone. Arky's vulnerable infant body suffered extensive internal damage. I managed to stabilize her, but her T-cog, an internal organ that allows us to transform, was damaged beyond repair. When her parents were confirmed dead and she was stabilized, an Autobot named Cliffjumper became her guardian. For most of her life, she was unable to transform. But during the Exodus, Cliffjumper was mortally wounded after taking a shot that would have hit Arky. On his deathbed, he asked me to transplant his T-cog into Arky. So, in short, Arky only had the capability of transforming for a single day before we went into stasis. That is why she is not allowed to transform, until she learns how to do partial transformations, and that goes the same for you, understood? Ratchet says, causing Izuku to nod his head, seeing that Ratchet started moving toward the ambulance that he brought into the cargo hold. Now I heard you came here for a demonstration, so watch and learn, kid. Ratchet said before his eyes started to glow. Then a beam of light shot from them as it scanned the vehicle. After it was done, Ratchet proceeded to transform into an exact copy of the ambulance that was next to him. Izuku's eyes widened in awe as he began to mumble. This only caused the group to chuckle a bit as Ratchet changed back. They did not break him out of his mumbling and opted to let him continue. Especially when Ratchet and Arachnid, the two nerds they are, found what he was talking about fascinating. 5 minutes later, Energon storage area. Izuku entered the Energon storage. When he did, he saw Arky sitting there with a container full of Energon in her hand. Taking a seat right next to her, he began to speak. I would like to apologize, I didn't mean to reopen already fresh wounds. Izuku said, apologizing for his earlier blunder. Sigh, it's alright, you didn't know. Arky said with a weariness in her tone that Izuku knew all too well. I know what you're going through, probably better than anyone. I, too, lost a parent. My mother died in a villain attack last month. I do not know about Cliffjumper, and I can never compare my experience to what you probably had with him, so I don't think I am going to. But my mother was the closest person to ever care about me, before I met you guys, that is. I don't know if she actually loved me, but at least she cared enough to give me a roof over my head and 3 meals a day. And when I lost her, it nearly broke me. The only thing that had held me together was the dream of becoming a hero. All my life, I was seen as a worthless waste of space, all because I did not have a quirk, all because I was born differently. I do not know what it was like for you without the ability to transform the majority of your life. But know that I know what it feels like to be different from others due to how we were born, and I will never treat you like that, even if you somehow lose the ability to transform. Izuku said, not daring to look at Arki, who he knew was crying. He knew better than anyone that she did not need pity right now. She needed somebody to understand that she wasn't alone. He also knew that if he did look, he would probably burst out crying as well, and he did not want to explain to the others how the Energon storage area was somehow flooded. It was after several minutes of crying that she spoke up. Thank you, Izuku. I needed that. Sigh, I just don't like feeling like a burden, you know? I felt that way all my life, and even now that I have the capability of transforming, I'm still a burden. I just wish there was something I could do. Arki said, looking at Izuku. When he looked back at her, she saw his eyes, and then she knew that he completely understood. She guessed he would if what she heard from Arachnid was anything to go by. It was then that Izuku got an idea. Perhaps there is a way that we could be less of a burden. Izuku said with a smile that seemed to light up the room. It was that same smile that made her spark flutter for a second. Come on, let's go see Ratchet. Izuku said with a smile, which Arki returned as they two left the storage area.
Make sure you guys like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye!